One of the best parts about PokerStars VR is the nice selection of environments to choose from. There are 9 maps in PokerStars VR as of this recording, not counting special tournament rooms. Today, I'm going to rank them all from worst to best, based on their Quest 2 iterations, along with my personal opinion of the maps. I will try to be semi-objective when judging these maps. However, I will be making my ruling primarily on personal preference. If you feel like I made an error in judgment, or just want to insult my personal taste, feel free to fire off in the comment section. Also, if you happen to be logged into your YouTube account while watching this and wish to support the creation of PokerStars VR content, please drop a like on the video, as I would greatly appreciate it. Without further delay, here we go. Number 9, The Void. Starting off with a very controversial pick for worst map, we have The Void. I feel it is important to acknowledge right away this map serves an important purpose and is certainly the most unique map out of the entire lineup. For those unaware, the Void is what the name suggests, a dark black void with nothing more than small details. Along with the minimalist appearance comes special rules for props. The Void prohibits about 90% of props from being spawned. Some of the few things it allows are beer bottles, cigars, cigar bags, and vape pens. For me, this makes the game much more boring and dry than it can be on other maps. So why does it exist? To put it simple, PokerStars VR attracts a lot of different kinds of people. Some of those people have little to no interest in use of props. For them, this map is their number one and only map of choice. Additionally, this map offers better hardware performance on both PC and Quest, which is nice and needs to be mentioned. However, for me, the simplicity and blandness of the Void experience is a major turnoff. On top of that, if I were to rank these maps strictly based on design, without consideration for player experience, it would automatically be at the bottom because there really isn't anything here. Again, if you love the Void and it's your go-to spot on PSVR, then more power to you. For me, it's just boring.
Okay, what the fuck are you doing?
Number 8, MACAU Suite. Okay, since we are past the Void, I believe we're out of the bad map zone. Any maps listed from this point on I would consider anywhere from okay to amazing. That brings us next to the MACAU Suite. While this map is certainly enjoyable, I can't help but feel that it's somewhat basic. Maybe that's what the creators were going for? While its aesthetic is pleasing and easy on the eyes, it feels lacking overall. You're basically in a round room surrounded by an aquarium. With that premise, I feel like they could have done a lot more, but what we ended up with, at least on the Quest 2, is pretty basic. You have a couple cool things to look at, like the underwater treasure chest. There is also an interactable gong, which can be fun in small bursts. However, beyond a couple basic objects, there isn't really a lot going on here. Another thing this map doesn't have is a prop dump, which I will discuss more in later maps. Overall, it's still an okay map, but certainly not my first choice when hosting a table. Number 7, SHOWDOWN Saloon. Well, yeehaw! Time to talk about the Wild West of PokerStars, the SHOWDOWN Saloon. More commonly referred to simply as Saloon, this map gives us a nice Western-themed environment to play poker in. While this map would probably be a lot higher if I was making the map ranks based on their PC counterpart, on Quest 2, it's kind of, well, ugly. I understand that the devs had to tone down the map so it would function smoothly on Oculus, but what we're left with is a shell of the PC version. The bottles you can shoot on the PC version are just static, low-res objects. The wanted posters and various other things around that have writing on them are blurry and unreadable. Not to mention there are actual NPCs on the PC version, while the Quest is apparently inhabited by ghosts. I like that at very least they kept the interactable piano on the Quest version. Silencing the corny ragtime music with a single bullet never gets old. I kind of wish the devs would rework the Quest version of this map. It looks great on the PC, but not even half as good on the Quest. Number 6, Monte Carlo Yacht. Here's another great map that has fallen victim to the hardware limitations of the Quest 2. While this map's overall design concept is lovely, the end result on the Quest 2 is kind of lacking. Sure, you still get the beautiful skyline, along with the sensation of being on a fancy boat, but the foreground environment looks pretty low res. Not that most people ever go beyond a couple feet away from the table, but if you do manage to have enough room to explore, you will notice a few less than stellar details. While this map does have a prop dump in the form of a pool you can throw objects at to make them despawn, it looks really blocky. To be fair, I don't think most people would get this close to sea, but it still feels kind of lazy. Even the objects you can view from a seated position at the table look a bit flat. If you're a big fan of being on the open water, I could see why this place might be your favorite. Not a bad map, just another map that didn't carry over nearly as well from the PC version as others did. Number 5. Spies. Now here's a map that fares a bit better on Quest 2. You are in the center of a secret mountain spy base. On the outside, you can see a valley of snowy mountains surrounding the base. On the inside, you're sat at a table above hot, liquid magma. You are surrounded by high-tech spy interior, which includes 2 interactable turret guns that'll shoot at objects that come within their range. There's also a cool library room, which I can only assume has the most relevant of spy-based reading material. I consider this the first map on the list so far that falls into the good category. It looks finished despite running on the lesser hardware of the Quest 2. The map below the table also serves as a very convenient prop dump. Unlike Yacht, you don't need a good throwing arm to get the job done. Personally, I'm a big fan of black and red palette design, so despite its middle position on this list, I always feel comfy when playing on Spies. Number 4. Galaxy Space Station. Onto the map that could possibly win the title of Best Design, the space station is certainly one of a kind. There's a lot going on in this sci-fi themed venue you might not notice the first time around. The interior has a lot of cool details, like the gyroscope under the table, the space worm tank, and of course, the adorable little robot cleaners. These guys are not only cute, but very helpful. Serving as the cleanup crew of the space station, these little dudes scoot along, cleaning up props that are dropped on the floor. You can even boop the robots on the head, but don't worry, they're as tough as they are forgiving. If you look to the outside, you might get lucky and catch a glimpse of a flying spaceship soaring by. Lots of great things to see here, which is probably what makes it one of the more popular maps in PokerStars. Number 3. MACAU 2050. Another map with an excellent design concept, MACAU 2050 is a beautiful environment with a whole lot to see. This map puts you in the center of Asian architecture surrounded by a man-made pond located in the middle of a futuristic metropolis. When I said there was a whole lot to see, I meant it. You have the surrounding water, which looks a lot nicer than the pool water on the yacht, while still serving its purpose as a prop dump. You have the gigantic skyscraper located behind the island bar, which I think most people don't even notice. You get the various subway trains rolling along the tracks periodically, along with arguably the most beautiful skyline in the entire game. If that wasn't enough, there's also a gigantic blimp. If I was to introduce someone to this game for the first time, this is probably the map I would show them. So much going on with such a beautiful color palette, it's surprising more people don't get lost in a trance mid-hand. Wonderful map, and objectively, perhaps the best looking in the game. Number 2. Medieval. The most recently added map at the time of recording, Medieval is a lovely, well-polished environment with a lot of fun details. You're located inside a castle-like building, surrounded by medieval-themed objects like the King's Throne, Knight's Armor, and whatever this thing is. On the outside, you have chickens clucking around an archery range. While the chickens look cool, you can't interact with them. It would have been funny if you could pester them like in the Zelda series and have them attack you in a giant swarm. But even though they aren't interactable, they still add a nice charm to the map overall. On another part of the map, you can see off into the distance, which looks nice and has good depth. I think the thing I like the most about this map is just how comfy it is. Something about it being open to the outside and the calming background noise really makes this an easily enjoyable map for everyone. Based on what I've seen, this seems to be the most popular map overall so far in PokerStars VR, and for good reason. And number 1, Cyber. Remember how in the start of the video I said the ranking would be based on personal preference? Well, I can't help but be biased towards this map. It was the first map I ever played in PokerStars VR and it blew my mind. Prior to this experience, I'd only put a couple hours on my Quest 2. I wasn't sure if the $300 I spent to get this hardware was really worth it. This changed everything. I think everyone can remember their first mind-blowing feeling they got from VR, and this was it for me. Something about the background music, paired with the dark, cybernetic environment, really did it for me. This is the map that got me hooked on PokerStars VR. Now, since you are all probably sick of hearing me gush, let me lay out the details. This map is basically a dark lit room with a table in the center, surrounded by computers, monitors, and even a bed. I assume this is supposed to be like a futuristic apartment. At least that's the vibe I get. There's a lot going on in this map, and since it's so compact, you don't really need a lot of guardian room to walk around to look at all of it. If you're lucky enough to have about 10 feet of walking room, you can even step out to the balcony and see the futuristic city skyline. Overall, the design of this map isn't groundbreaking, but something about the dim lighting, small spaces, and futuristic background music is just magic to me. I don't know if I would have gotten into PSVR as much if it wasn't for this map. For those reasons, Cyber is, without a doubt, my favorite map in PokerStars VR.